I came across something recently that has been freaking me the hell out. Before I get into my discovery, let me just get into a little backstory that makes the discovery even more disturbing. For the past few weeks or so, on several occasions, while either trying to sleep in my bed or doing something in my room with a light on at night, I would hear a single faint yet audible tap on my window. I hardly want to call it a tap because none of the sounds really resembled an intentional tap. It sounded more so like something accidentally being scraped or pressed against the glass very briefly. At first I thought it was just bugs flying into the window, but as the same sound kept happening, at least 2 or 3 times a week, I started to get freaked out by it. So I told my dad, and he, of course, told me it's nothing. Probably just bugs like I initially thought. So nothing happened for a few nights, but then I got a text from a friend. Well, not a friend, just some guy I used to have a class with who somehow coerced me into giving him my number. He said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we used to have class together. I just wanted to let you know about this. I stumbled upon it by accident, and if you're unaware of it, that's pretty disturbing." Then he added a link to the bottom of the message. I pressed it and it took me to an Instagram page. The page was titled JP Unofficial. Those were my initials, but that wasn't the first thing I noticed. The first thing I noticed was the profile picture, and that was me. Then the 45 pictures uploaded to that account were all of me. They were in like pictures that I took, though they were all candid. I mean, like they were pictures I never even knew were taken. Some were of me at a beach, some were of me sitting in my car. But the newer ones got even weirder. Some were of me in my backyard, and then the worst ones were the most recent. There were pictures of me in my room taken from outside my window. Some of me sitting on my bed doing homework or texting. Others of me standing with one, even of me, in my underwear. I felt sick. I felt like crying and throwing up. All of the pictures had at least 2 or 3 likes. Some had comments, but not comments pointing out how wrong this is. There were comments encouraging it, saying things like, "Go for it," or "hot," or "what I'd do if I could get my hands on her." The captions on the photos too, they were all things like "the love of my wife," or "she went to the beach today," or "I just like to watch her." My mouth was twitching as a tear rolled down my face. I was so disturbed I can't even describe the emotions I was feeling. And then there was a sound again at a window. The sound, the unintentional scrape or tap. And then it clicked. It made sense. Now when I put 2 and 2 together, I simply snapped. I lost it and screamed louder than I'd ever screamed. Before my dad came rushing in with open arms to hug me and ask what's wrong, I showed him the Instagram page and explained the taps on the window. Well explained as a stretch. I was a mess and could barely speak clearly. My dad's expression went from gentle to horrified to downright angry. He rushed outside screaming, making a scene for the neighbors, looking for the stalker. He then came inside and called the police. I gave the police the Instagram account and requested they track it as soon as possible. Law enforcement put the request into Instagram. By the time it was received, the account was deleted, but it didn't matter because Instagram was still able to recover the info, and the usage was traced on an old iPod Touch. Unfortunately, the device was untraceable. It was either destroyed or it has its Wi-Fi turned off permanently. My dad saw how messed up I was, and he plans on moving us out of the house within a month. Luckily, there haven't been any new sounds, But I've also made sure to keep all my blinds shut 24/7 and always make sure I'm not being tailed while driving. All I could think to say to everybody is, keep your Instagram private and always be alert to your surroundings. I'm sure most of you use Instagram this day and age, whether you have a big following or none at all. It's just most of society uses. Apparently the app has over 1 billion active users, which I find insane. I had about 300 followers at the time this happened. I live in a rural town, so I guess that's a lot for people around us. We don't know a lot of people outside of our districts. One night watching a movie, my phone vibrated. It said a girl named Holly started following me on Instagram. So I opened up Instagram to check out her profile. And she was this really gorgeous blonde girl with like 5,000 followers. She had about 50 pictures. They were all spaced out realistically as far as the dates they were posted. Usually when I got followers like this, I will check to make sure they're actually legit. She got like 600 likes per picture and a bunch of comments from guys I assume she didn't even know, leaving hearts and drooling emojis and whatever. Then I kid you not, as I was going through her page before I even followed her back, she DM'd me. She said, "Hey, I honestly don't do this a lot, but I thought you're really cute. To be honest, and not to sound like a douche, I'm pretty fit and I've been told I'm pretty attractive, and I've had some girls DM me in the past." So I followed her back and DM'd her the same, saying, "I think you're cute too." Then we went on to have a pretty long conversation, but it was going really well. We talked about fitness and what high schoolies we went. And honestly, that was great. She gave me her number and we quickly got to setting up a meetup for the next night, which was a Friday night. We agreed we would meet at a popular bar called Lucky's for a couple drinks. So Friday night, as the nerves are starting to kick in, I would prepare myself for this little date. Never had I gotten a date straight from an Instagram DM. But this girl was downright gorgeous. I drove down to Lucky's and sat in my car in the parking lot awaiting her call or text to let me know she was there. Eventually she did text me, but not to let me know she was there. She said her car broke down and she needed a ride. I had to reread it a couple times to be sure I was reading it correctly. I tried calling her, but she didn't accept the call. She texted me describing her location. I didn't answer just yet. I took one more good look at her Instagram profile, and it was definitely real. She had friends tagged in her pictures, commenting on her pictures. So I knew I wasn't getting catfished. I texted back on my way, and off I went. I drove down the quiet side roads towards the location she described. I made it, but it was a weird spot for her car to have broken down. I saw a car pulled off to the side of the road next to the woods. Actually, there were woods on either side of this road. The car had its hood open, so it had to be her. I tried calling, but it didn't go through. I looked at my phone and realized I had no bars here. I parked my car on the other side of the road and got out. As I walked over to her car, which was a black Nissan Altima, I realized I couldn't see inside of it at all. The windows were completely tinted black. I lightly tapped on the window and waited. No one opened the door, so I walked around to the front hood just to see if she had attempted to do any work on the engine, I guess. As far as I could tell, she didn't. I was losing patience, so I texted her, "Where are you? I'm about to leave." As I walked back to the side of the car, I noticed the driver's side window had now been cracked down. I knew for a fact they were all shut a minute ago. They called Holly's name knowing someone had to be in the car now. I walked a little closer to get a look inside. Someone's fist reached out from the window and they started signaling for me to come closer with their pointer finger. I felt my stomach drop, realizing it was definitely a man's hand. I told him in a shaky voice, "Get lost," as I ran back to my car. I sped away and made the first right turn off the street I could. Because of my constant glances in the rearview mirror, I eventually spotted a car with its light off trailing behind me. I thought to do the same. I turned off the lights on my car and started making as many turns as possible, and eventually I did lose the car. When I got home, the profile had already blocked me, but I found out at a later date that that profile was in fact real, but that the girl in the pictures was hacked by some creepy dude, and I wasn't even this only guy's victim of whatever plan he had. I just hope everyone else was as fortunate as I was.